out to the producer. That's dope.
What? I'm still clapping.
No lie. I'm not gonna lie. The person who did that beat really did us a favor, you know. So shout out to that person. No, but back with another episode. It's your girlfriend's favorite podcast, the Directly Podcast. Of course, you know, always here, dose to the real, kicking it with some real, giving it to you directly. It's your boy PREZZ. Shout out to you guys, the real ones, you know, and of course, my boy 420 SNOOPZ. What's good?
You already know what it is. We back at it. Another one.
I already know what it is, and he's already here letting you guys know where he's from. Mr. Africa RokStar. What's good?
RokStar, baby. Come on, man. No black stars when we in this bad boy. RokStar, also known as Blackstar. Let's do it.
All right. And we got a special guest with us today. Special guest because we're going to be having a great conversation, a great discussion on a special topic really affecting, you know, discussions within our community right now. And who better to talk to around the things that were in the discussion in terms of COVID and the vaccination than a doctor, a black doctor. We got a friend of the show, our boy, Mr. Obed Adarkwah, Dr. Obed Adarkwah, I should say.
Yes, doctor. Doctor, yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, because like, you know, let us know if we push you too far in terms of some of the discussions and questions around this, because we know that you represent, which hospital is this now? I don't know if you want to give that information out, but just let them know that you are a doctor. We're speaking to a doctor, and the purpose of this is because
in NY, no?
In NY too. Yeah, exactly.
That's important.
That's important, right?
Yeah, so I am a licensed physician. I have 3 specialties. Internal medicine, which is the specialty for adult medicine. And then pulmonary, or in Canada they call it respirology, which is lung disease. And then I'm also an ICU physician, ICU doctor. So when the person is the sickest anywhere in the hospital and there's nowhere to go, they come to see me. So that's what I do.
Damn. I mean, I like to tell everybody that I have a friend that's a doctor, just let you guys all know that.
But now you have to say, I have a friend that's a doctor that has 3 specialties.
3. 3. I'm just saying.
1. He ain't no regular doctor.
Not a regular.
Oh, I shouldn't be sticking that finger up.
Oh Lord, you see what I mean? No, for real though. So we should give a little bit of the background. We say friend of the show, Dr. Adarkwah. If you hear us refer to him as Obed, it's because this is a friend of ours.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So this is somebody.
And I actually want you guys to refer to me as Obed.
Okay.
Okay. All right. No Dr. O.
Doctor.
Dr. O.
Dr. O.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God. No, for real. But Obed, the reason why I connected in with you, if you recall, I mentioned, I said, you know, someone jokingly made a comment to me that Black people, we talk the most about the vaccine, about COVID, I should say, and the vaccine. But we talk to everybody except the doctor about it. And I started laughing because I was like, that is true. The last person, Black people generally, I hate to generalize us like that, but one of the last people that we speak to generally about the vaccine and COVID is the doctor. We talk to ourselves, our families, our friends, the community, like just as a whole, but we don't talk to a doctor. So I figured, since I do have a friend that is a doctor, why not have him on to have a discussion around, you know, the vaccine. Right now, Ontario, a lot of people in Ontario is discussing vaccine passports, even though we're not one of the provinces as yet. Right? I believe New York is one of the states that has basically you got to have a vaccine you got to be fully vaccinated to travel,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
I don't know. We have a lot of questions around the vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. And when you guys come to it, we'll address that, I guess.
Come to a what?
Well, come to that issue. Come to that issue in terms of vaccine passports. It's an interesting topic. And I have my own take on it, but when we get to it, or you want to address that, we'll address that, I guess.
All right, we will address that, but I have some questions. So basically,
Yeah.
I kicked it out to the real ones, which is our audience, those that follow us, right, to get some questions, right? And we have a few questions when they confirmed that it was a Black doctor that I was going to be speaking with, right? Which was the only way they were going to hear or listen to anything. So I gotta let you know, unfortunately, bro, you are kind of speaking for the community.
Oh boy.
You hear that?
It's all good. I totally get
All
it.
right. Okay.
I totally get
No
it.
pressure. I just got to keep it real with you, right? Because, you know, we're giving it directly, right? So,
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the best answers I can.
all right.
Keeping it real for the real ones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as real as-
So I have a few questions just that they've posed, right? 2 questions that I was told I have to ask this one specifically first,
Okay.
right? Which is a little bit personal. So see with me and you choose, but I got to ask the question.
Okay.
Very first question. Did you take the shot?
Yes.
And if so, which one? What was your deciding factors? This person, all these 3 things is supposed to be one question from this individual.
That sounds like 3 questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like 3 questions, but just to let you know that the individual and another individual work together.
It's a follow-up.
Yeah, there's a follow-up question that they got. So I'm just gonna let you know. Did you take the shot? You said yes.
Yes.
So the doctor has taken the shot.
So I took both shots actually.
Both shots. Okay. So
yeah, I'm fully vaccinated, and I got the vaccine over a year ago in December of 2020.
Oh, so you're an early adapter. You're
So I don't do anything, and doctors ideally should not be doing anything without actually knowing something about what it is that they're taking or giving to patients, right? When everybody, or I shouldn't say everybody, because I don't want to sound like, I don't want to generalize, and I don't want to make people sound like they're ignorant, right? But when doctors are even given medicines, right, they should be given it based off of what we call evidence-based, right? Evidence-based medicine. That's how medicine should be practiced. If I'm giving you Tylenol, I'm not giving you Tylenol because Joe Schmo says Tylenol works on headaches, right? There are research articles that are done, and those research are based off of populations of people. So like, if I'm giving this to you, that I know that, oh, you know what, those research done on this medicine with X number of people, right, that had certain comorbidities, you know, that are relevant in the patient I'm trying to treat. So we knew most of that information before we even decided to take this, right? We looked at the results, we looked at how many people they had done the trial on and so forth. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take it, right? And I got both vaccines. And it was a Pfizer vaccine because earlier on I was one of the earliest vaccines that were out. And after we went through the literature, we were like, okay, yeah, this is worth taking.
So just to clarify, yes, you did take the vaccine. You're fully vaccinated, both shots. You mentioned that was December of last year, right? And it was Pfizer. Now, in terms of what was your deciding factor that made you decide to take it? Because I do want to touch on something that you mentioned earlier, because I thought you were going somewhere with it, but I believe you were using that to reaffirm your own decision of taking the shot. What you were mentioning just now. Yeah.
So yes, one of the also reasons why I wanted to take the shot, like, you know, so yes, I wanted a vaccine to prevent it because I know what I saw, right? Working in the ICU, like I said, I deal with the sickest patients that you'll ever find in any hospital. So even if a surgeon works on a patient, the patient's sick, there's nothing to do. Where is he going to send the patient to the ICU? When you're in the hospital, their doctor's taking care of you. When the doctor doesn't have anything else to do, guess where they send them? To the ICU, right? The ICUs were filled with the sickest patients in the whole hospital.
Sorry, do you mind just Obed, just clarify for a moment there, because I understand what you mean by that, but just to clarify, intensive care, do you mind just kind of speaking a little bit, just to clarify ICU, a little bit of jargon? I know that
exactly. Sorry about that.
No.
Speaking doctor language.
Yeah, and most people will probably get it, but just for that one or two that may not, like,
sure.
Clarify, please.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that you guys also understand I might sometimes interchange ICU with CCU with the unit. If I say the unit, I mean the ICU, and I also mean the intensive care unit. So I'll probably use all three, what's it called, interchangeably throughout. And I apologize if, you just ask me to clarify again if I do that a lot.
No problem.
But yeah, normally I take care of patients there, right? And when this pandemic hit, there were so many patients everywhere. And if you guys have ever seen the movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman, is it Dustin Hoffman?
Bro,
yeah, and
are you comparing? Then again, you were in New York, and
So the thing is, it's like sometimes when I say that, some people think I'm like,
that's where I was about to go. You're going a little overboard with that, but then
but he was there. You can't tell.
But it wasn't. It was no effing joke, And I also understand why some people find it hard to believe, because depending on where in the country you are, if it's not populated, if there aren't a lot of people there, right, then it goes back to how disease spread and stuff like that. So there's something as contagious as it was. If you're not, in close quarters with a lot of people, it's not going to spread as much, and you're not going to have as many people infected. So when this was happening in places like North Dakota or something, even in places like North Dakota today, where even though this virus has been able to spread throughout the whole country, you still don't see as many infections, right? Because it's not heavily populated. There aren't a lot of people there. But in somewhere like New York, where you have probably I think 10 times as many people in New York City as you do in Toronto, right? In almost the same amount of space, you look around, if you put an infection here, touches one person, it spreads like wildfire. So all hospitals, literally all hospitals were pretty much filled with just COVID patients. ICUs were filled. I remember one night they were I had a thing, maybe 40 patients on ventilators that I was just by myself, just walking around, doing what I needed to do overnight, because I was the person on call at that time. So when I say it was something like that movie Outbreak, I'm not exaggerating. And anybody that was in New York or in Jersey or even in California now, in certain parts of the country, know what we're talking about. Now, even in Texas, right? Before, when this was happening in New York, people thought we were being facetious. Oh no, it's not how it's going on. But now they're not even asking for more ventilators, right? Even though we've said that we don't put as many people on ventilators if we can't, but when it comes to the time when they have to be on a ventilator, they're even asking for ventilators, right? So after seeing all that, I said, no, I got to protect myself as much as I possibly can. What's the safest thing I can do? Get vaccinated for this. What's the best vaccine out there, or which vaccines are available? There at the time, 3 of them at the time, was the Pfizer, Moderna, and then the Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson had not come out yet at that time. It was not approved yet.
Yeah, it was on the way. It wasn't.
So then we saw the Pfizer, we saw the research, and we said, okay, you know what? We're gonna use this, and I got it.
Okay.
Wasn't it AstraZeneca? Didn't that come out too?
Yeah, so there was an AstraZeneca vaccine. For me personally, knowing what I know, my background, right? And this is not to say that this is what it works, but just my background, having a graduate degree in molecular biology and doing that type of stuff, genetic engineering in grad school, I just didn't like the idea of using anything that was DNA to what's it called? To, I guess, get the vaccine, right? Only just because of my understanding, right? It was just my understanding. I was like, that's a little
That's
a little
much.
too close for my comfort, right? But
Yeah.
that was because of how I understood the process. It doesn't work that way, but still, that was just my preference. That I just felt like, I'm just not comfortable with this one. But if that was the only thing that was available, with that said, and I've looked at the research and that was the best way to protect myself, I probably still would get it.
Okay. Well, thanks. I think you definitely gave us the which one and the reasons why. I think you got
Why,
into a little
yeah.
bit of, you got into a bit of what I was trying to get into next as well, too, which is the differences behind the vaccine. So, behind, like, for example, the AstraZeneca shot, the Pfizer, and the other options. So do you mind?
Okay.
And again,
Moderna.
Moderna. Yeah, and I
So-
don't know, just before you get started, Obed, I don't know in terms of, obviously, your doctor, you mentioned some stuff just now with regards to like the DNA, right? So
Uh-huh.
they're like, I just want to preference that to remind you that I'm asking these questions because
Yes.
our community, the Black community, there is a fear. So when you speak about
Yes.
that, I just want to preference that, right? So what are the differences and between the vaccines, right?
Mhm.
From your medical knowledge and expertise versus us just running up the mouth that's happening
Okay.
online, right?
Yeah. So first, before I even talk about those three, I just want to let people understand what vaccines are, right? Vaccines essentially are our way of priming our immune system so that they can fight an infection when they encounter it, right? So that's very important
Sounds like
because we
poison.
always think of getting a vaccine as in preventing. We're never going to get a disease like a cure. It's not.
Thank you for saying that.
Never had in the history of medicine has anybody said that vaccines will stop you from getting a disease.
Exactly.
Okay, that
So
helps.
vaccines don't ever stop. They're preventative, as in like they're preventing serious disease, right? All you're doing when you get a vaccine is you're priming your immune system so that it can fight an infection when it's season.
Stronger. Yeah.
Exactly. So an example is, we'll just say, you know what? Let's say I'm an intruder. I'm an infection, right?
Mhm.
Right? And we're gonna invade Lawrence's body, right? Pause.
Yeah, because we're
We're gonna what?
Just go on. Just go on. Just go on. Don't say nothing.
don't say nothing. RokStar, don't say nothing. You missed that one. Don't worry.
Right? So pretend that that's what's going on here. And Dwayne or Snoop is essentially the general. He's like the police officer, right? So I come in and he sees, oh, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be there, right? So what does he do? He grabs me, beats the crap out of me, takes a couple pictures of me, and I got a crew, right? So let's say I'm holding flags, like, you know.
Yeah, they recognize your flags now.
Exactly, I'm holding flags. So he's like, okay, you know, whenever you guys see these dudes with this flag, we're going to attack those guys because they're not supposed to be here, right? So now Dwayne has either tagged or he's called up the homies and said, yo, there are a bunch of whatever flags that we're throwing up in Lawrence. They're not supposed to be here. Every single time you see someone with that flag, it's on site.
It's on site. Okay.
Right?
Just pause right there.
Hold on. Explain on site.
Oh, yeah.
Because we might have some people from the suburbs listening to you.
All right. So essentially what I'm saying is this. Dwayne, let's say Dwayne is a cop, right? So Dwayne sees me, I'm a robber, I'm not supposed to be there. Once he apprehends me, he puts out an APB and says, you know what? There are a bunch of people that are not supposed to be here. This is what they look like. So whenever anybody whenever people who work with Dwayne, like, you know, the police officers are walking around, they know what they're looking for. So right when they see that person or anybody that looks like me, they're gonna arrest them and they're gonna deal with them.
All right.
Man, them attack.
Exactly. That's essentially what you're doing when you get a vaccine. Your body's saying, oh, you know what? There's an infection or something that's not supposed to be here. It takes it and says, I'm going to make quote unquote antibodies, right? antibodies towards that. So now you have all these antibodies hanging around so it can neutralize it. But on top of that, when it does affect, the body's also going to say, hey, I've seen this before, and it's going to make even more antibodies. That way you're kind of weathering the storm before it even starts. That's what vaccines do.
All right.
Right?
I want to pause right there, Obed, because I think you just touched on something that is very important for us to make sure that we dig a little deeper into and clarify, right? Because I think you just answered a big part of the myth. Millions right there, that like even ahead of one of the questions I had, because even myself, like one of the first things people are going to say, what's the point? Right? One of the things I've said to you and I've shown you is, listen, I have vaccinated people here, fully vaccinated, dying and passing away from corona. Just the same, I shared that with you, and I said I want to have conversations around this, because people are saying, well, why am I going to get vaccinated if it's not going to prevent me from getting corona? If I can get vaccinated and get corona anyhow, what's the point? So it's very important what you just said to clarify that a vaccine, not just this vaccine, not the COVID vaccine, the corona vaccine, whatever you want to call it, vaccines period is not it's not a 100% preventative. It's not a stop all. That's what you're saying, doctor?
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Sorry, just so we're clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But with that said, I'm glad that you said that, because you're saying people will say, what's the point?
What's the point?
So there is a point, right? Because the majority of people that get vaccinated don't die from it, right? So I'm not saying that you won't get infected. I'm saying the probability of you getting or dying from it or getting serious infection from it is much smaller. If we look right now, all the patients in the ICU in the country, and even probably in Canada right now, 90% of them are unvaccinated people. The 10%, oh, I don't know the numbers, but it's a very small number. There's probably even less than 10%. Those patients that are vaccinated, those are breakthrough cases, right? So I'll even ask you guys this, and you guys can, we can ask the people listening, how many people still get a tetanus shot, right? But there's you've been vaccinated by tetanus, but there's still a chance you could get tetanus. Whenever you get a cut, you go to the hospital, they give you a tetanus booster, right? Right?
Okay. You know what?
You know what I mean?
Thanks for bringing that up, because those are great examples.
It's like the same thing he's trying to say.
Yeah, we can share with our community to help to kind of, because here's the thing too, that I don't know what I should be doing, to be honest with you, right? And I want to be careful as to how we utilize our platform, right? I don't know. And you know what? This is me speaking personally. So let me say that. Let me say that as well too, right? I'm not going to tell someone to not get vaccinated. I'm not going to tell someone to get vaccinated. I feel like I'm not sure, just based on the understanding of things. I could kind of encourage people to do what you feel is best for you and your safety, understanding your situation and your particular positions, right? In life. And I just didn't feel like I knew enough, sorry to cut you, to directly tell someone and go. So that's why I want to have you and have this conversation, because I want to help the convincing for myself as well as for others as well.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said that.
You've already convinced me.
I'm just keeping it a bean, bro.
No. You know, you're absolutely right. And you're not a doctor, and so you shouldn't take on that responsibility to say this is why you should or this is why you shouldn't. I mean, if you're trying to tell people this is why you should and you know why, great, let them. I think it's good. But I take offense when people are saying don't do this, but they don't really understand why they're saying don't do this. Or because they got a gut feeling or whatever. No.
Yeah, skeptical. You know, black people skeptical.
Yeah, why are you?
Well, hold on. Don't laugh it off. Let's not laugh it off. We have a reason to distrust, right? So you're right. Let's talk about that skeptical, right? That reason, right? And it's not just from ignorance. Some of the most intelligent people, right, are skeptical, right? And they're of this.
Before we get to that, let me answer the question about the vaccine. Different.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Right? Thank you. The different.
So the vaccine itself, we talked about what a vaccine is, right? And then we have the AstraZeneca vaccine. I'll just talk about the three main ones, that we know of, or technically the four. We have the AstraZeneca vaccine, Johnson and Johnson. We have the Moderna, and we have the Pfizer. right? Pfizer, Moderna, and I believe Johnson and Johnson are all RNA, meaning if you guys have to think back to regular biology, when all living things in life are made from DNA, right? 4 letters that make up the DNA code, and every living thing starts from that. Okay, so just like how you're here, I'm here, whatever, we use the same letters. It just might be arranged in certain parts that are a little different. That gives us different features and so forth, right? That DNA is instructions, but we can't do anything with that instructions until we change the writing into language that we actually understand, right? Or our machinery understands. That is called RNA when it does that. RNA is what we use to make ourselves, to make proteins that then make us look the way we look, right? We got that part. So
Yes.
The virus itself is an RNA virus, right? Pfizer uses that RNA virus that makes the virus, right? But it doesn't use it for the whole virus. It uses it just to make the spike, right? The little part of it. So let's say the virus will make me, right? But we're gonna use information just to make the arm, right? So it's just useless, just an arm, right? Now we take that and then we give that to you. Your body's gonna say, oh, you know what? Here's some instructions to make something, right? It makes the arm. That arm now, your body's gonna say, wait, this arm is not supposed to be here. What is this, right? And so what it does is it makes antibodies towards that. Now, guess what? Every single time you get infected with that virus, it's gonna say, wait a minute, we recognize that arm, right?
So it'll make more.
So it'll make more antibodies towards it. Remember when I told you it's gonna be like somebody calling in an APB and say, hey, this guy's not supposed to be here? It's the same thing, right? Traditionally, whenever we gave vaccines, one of the ways we did was we just took a dead virus and then we gave it to somebody, right? Or sometimes we gave them a weak virus and said, here, and then your body will fight it, will kill it, and then make antibodies towards it. We don't know enough, or I wanna say we thought that it was too dangerous to give this virus, this full virus, whether it's weak or not, to people. So with the way we did, this is not new technology. This is what I said I did in grad school. You're taking a piece, like, you know, and I said it makes the arm. You're giving it to the body. It can't go and interact with your DNA because it's RNA, right? And then your body's gonna use that information and makes the arm. It's gonna make antibodies towards that. Voila, vaccine. You're vaccinated, right? Because now you have primed your immune system to fight that infection.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Thank you for
Right?
explaining that.
Yeah, so that's usually Moderna, Pfizer, and I believe Johnson and Johnson.
So that's the
AstraZeneca,
RNA.
though,
That's the, what did you call that? That's the RNA, right?
RNA virus, right?
RNA virus. Okay.
Yeah, they say mRNA. That's just RNA, messenger RNA. It's just the different types, but just remember it's RNA.
Okay.
The AstraZeneca is a little different though. AstraZeneca uses a bacterial virus, right, to package its information. What it does though is it takes like it did with the information for the arm, but it uses that information not in RNA form but in DNA, right? So what that does is you inject it, that body takes up the DNA, right? And that goes into your nucleus. Like, you know, so you have your cell, and then you have part where your DNA is. That DNA then is changed to RNA, and then it makes that information that says, here's the arm. And then once again, it makes antibodies towards that. Your immune system is primed. So that's how that vaccine works, right? But people hear DNA, RNA, and they're like, you're messing with who you
My
are,
blood.
you're messing with your genetics.
Yeah.
No, you're not, right?
Yeah.
Because especially RNA viruses will never interact. It's even different parts. It's housed different parts in the cell, right? It never interacts, right? And so the RNA is never going to affect your DNA.
I don't
But
know.
people just hear that and they're just like, without truly understanding
Yeah.
what's really going on.
Okay.
Help us understand that a bit better, because I don't know about yourself, 420. I don't know about you, RokStar, but as Obed is explaining this, even the RNA one, like I'm listening to you, and because I'm actively listening, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Right? I'm just keeping it real with you, right? I'm feeling uncomfortable. And then when you go into the DNA part, and like I'm feeling uncomfortable.
So let
just,
me put it this way. So before we can make the arm or anybody, we need DNA, right? So think about the instructions as in this book. Let's say this book is written in Chinese, right? It's DNA, but it's written in Chinese. Do you know how to read Chinese?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
none of us do, right?
No, I don't.
Naruto.
None of us do, right?
If it's Naruto, if there's like
That's Japanese, by the way.
Oh, so you see, I'm out.
But
Mandarin.
But my point is, it's useless to us, right? But this has all the information for us to do whatever it is we're trying to do. We have to, what we call in the scientific terminology, transcribe this, meaning we are trying to change it into a different language, right? So we're going to change it into English. So we're going to rewrite this into English, right? So we can understand it. That, when it's rewritten into English, that's RNA, right? And it uses a different language. So remember, I told you that these were 4 letters for the DNA. This is also 4 letters, but it's not the exact 4 letters. 3 of them are the same, 1 is different. So it doesn't mix, right? You can't use this and then take a page out of this book and put it in a Chinese book. It won't work, right? So once you have the English information, you say, okay, you know what? I need an arm. You get an arm, you put it in there. I need a head, I put a head here. You get what I'm trying to say? I need to make this yellow. I need to make this green or whatever. So the information is there, and then you can use that to make what it is that you're trying to make.
Yeah, like a rule book.
Exactly. It's like a cookbook or a rule book.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think we're diving deeper into, without even meaning, into like what the things that, like the fears, some of the stuff with the fears. So I just want to ask you, Obed, do you feel you've kind of, to borrow your word, do you feel you've transcribed the different vaccines as yet, like the difference for the main ones? Because I want to ask you around some of those fears, that those things where you play around with the DNA, because our community, we've heard about the stuff like they're trying to sterilize us. I'm making sure I put them out there, because like I gotta keep it real. People have said the stuff. If they're listening, they're saying, yo, PREZZ, ask the doctor this question, right? So is this about sterilization? Is this about like, you know, this isn't my question. I'm asking.
Yeah, we got that.
So, you know, like I just feel like I'm gonna get killed either way, you know. But
I mean,
you're damn if you do, you're damn if you don't. But they gave the questions, and I gotta keep it real. So.
I get why there might be some mistrust in certain parts of the world, right? I mean, I don't know how true it is, but I've heard of even companies like Johnson & Johnson doing something in Africa somewhere. I don't know how true it is, so I will not speak of it, right? Because I don't know any facts, right? I just hear, right? But there's so much stuff that you hear that doesn't make any sense. It's not true. You guys ever heard of the Tuskegee experiment?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a misconception about that. So you've heard about it, D?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Okay, Lawrence, do you know? Okay, D, do you? Oh, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but what do you know about the Tuskegee experiment?
When they specifically gave Black people, infected them with I don't want to get the exact disease wrong, but there is an infection, and it's a very common one. It's on the tip of the tongue, is just, but specifically infected us to see what would happen. Exactly. And when I say, like, it wasn't even like they knew, like they literally just gave a disease to see what would happen, and then gave it men, women, like just right across. Just, you know, so
So that incident, what he's talking about is where there's, I know here in the United States, in certain parts, historically, there's a mistrust of the system as a result of that. But even that is a misconception. They didn't give the disease. What they did is they took people that had the disease and they didn't treat it, which is just as bad, right? So what they wanted to do, they wanted to study, like, the effects, like, the stages of the disease. The disease is syphilis, right? And if syphilis,
that's why.
Yeah, syphilis will start off as
Okay.
something benign, and if you don't treat it as it gets further along, it can be devastating. It can affect the brain, it can affect the heart, it can affect your balance, like so many things that it can cause, right?
So you're
And
saying
so-
people showed up to the hospital and asked for treatment and they weren't treating them?
No, so exactly. So I don't know if I said they showed up, but they called, like, they knew people were sick. So
Yeah.
if you go to the hospital, you might not even know that you have the disease, right? And we know you have the disease, but
Yeah.
we don't treat you for it just because we want to know what's going on. How's this going to end up?
Oh man, that's snaky, no?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's snaky.
So as a result, like that's a huge part of the mistrust that a lot of people have, right? And I understand.
I thank you, Obed, for helping us to kind of wrap up and get some information out there to the
Oh,
community.
real talk.
Real
You
talk.
actually helped me.
You helped me make
educated
you helped me make a decision. Real talk. Like I've been,
Yeah, I'm getting
been-
vaccinated.
I'm gonna get vaccinated because of this.
Before I was only getting it just to leave the country, but now I have a better reason.
That was it. Before it was just gonna be, that and whatever. But from having the conversation with you, right?
I
like,
fully understand now.
you get me? Like I was already planning to do it, but I wasn't on board. I was just
Yeah,
I was gonna
in
do
no
it.
rush.
Yeah,
Well,
like, but I'm glad we had this conversation because
Glad I could
right,
help.
even though I was already there,
Just feel free to hit me up.
Still a little iffy,
yeah, real
You have specific questions, and if I
Yeah.
don't have an answer, I'll go to somebody who knows, like an infectious disease specialist or something, and I'll get back to you right away.
Yeah.
CDC, baby.
All right. See, where else you guys gonna get it like this directly? You guys, we brought a black doctor here. We had the conversation. We kept it real, right? Yeah.
There you go.
I asked the questions, right? I asked him, like, is this population control? Right? I asked, is what's going on? Why take the shot if it's not preventing anything? We figured out and found out, you know what?
Now you know
I
why.
Now you know why. And I think that, if anything, one of the things I hope people will listen to that would help the most is when you clarified, Obed, about the vaccine not being to prevent or stop something to begin with, right? And how it works. I think that's an understanding that like it defeats
It's more of a
the
boost.
yeah, it helps to defeat the number one argument of what's the point. Like,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
we're all walking around with vaccines for hepatitis, vaccines for
Chickenpox and all that stuff.
exactly, right? But that's
Yeah.
not, you can't get the disease. It just means your immune system is primed to it. So when it sees it, that's just what a vaccine does, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't say you can never get a disease. There's no vaccine in the world that prevents you 100% from never getting a disease.
Kind of like a condom, I guess.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That sounds like a real one. That's like a real one question.
No, you know what? All jokes aside, that's what it is. It's prevention, right?
Yeah.
If pregnancy or a disease like an STD is what we're trying to prevent,
Yeah.
it's not 100%.
It's not 100%.
Not 100%.
Get it?
Get your rubbers. You know what? That's what this right here. Get your
All
Why?
rubbers.
How does
Directly.
Obed go into rubbers? Wow. Real ones, right?
Shout
Oh,
out to
gosh.
the real ones. You got to protect your stuff. You got to rubber
Protect
up.
yourself,
gosh.
man.
Get your shot.
Rubber up.
Rubber up and
Strap
get your
up.
shot. Strap up. Get
Not
strap.
the right strap.
Thank you.
The correct strap.
The right strap.
What am I?
Right.
What am I doing here?
Gangsters.
What am I doing here?
Nah, yo, these men are
You're a
moving.
gangster too. Shut up.
Yo, they're moving.
What are we
Yeah,
doing?
you know what? Because RokStar has long left the streets, Rockstar
Yeah,
doesn't want to.
he forgot where he came from.
You know, but Rockstar, when we tell people
Just knows
to
about them
strap up,
data flights.
you know, we don't want to promote strapping up the wrong way on the podcast. This is not the type of example as men that we're trying to send out there, especially with having Dr. Obed on the podcast. Oh, is that so, Obed? You know,
Strap up, he told me.
Strap up, he told me. nah, we ain't trying to do our boy like that. You know what? There is something 420 that we gotta settle, because I swear, and both Obed and Rockstar denied this the other day, but I swear that there was a situation that I heard back in the day where one of them had dropped the baton. There was some kind of baton dropping between the three of you guys at some point somewhere.
Nobody dropped the baton.
No, we've not us.
Never.
You think of
Maybe
Johnson.
Johnson.
Exactly. You think of
I
Johnson.
wonder if it was Johnson.
It was Johnson. Because that was our rival.
We have never,
Never.
never
No,
dropped.
Never. Against our religion. Sorry.
No, I thought,
It was a Johnson thing, man. Trust me.
No.
Maybe a Michael Power. I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
Michael Power
One
was
of them.
juicing. They were juicing.
I mean,
They had people that looked like our fathers for them.
because they're all football players. Yeah,
Ah, man, they were all drugged up, man. Half these guys had people that looked like they were. While we were all like 16 and at least 140, these guys were like looked like they were LeBron now.
they were just vaccinated.
They were vaccinated.
Hence the name Michael Power, right?
You said they were vaccinated. I like.
Man's were vaccinated, yo. Long time.
Man's been vaccinated, yo.
Oh boy.
Juiced up. Extra boost.
But yes. Thanks, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means a
Thank
lot.
you, doctor.
everybody got something out of it. I'd love to be back on if you guys have any more questions, or just shoot me an email or something like that. And, I'll get back to you guys.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
definitely.
100.
Yeah, so
100.
and for those that took the time, that were, as a matter of fact, if they have questions, right? Do you mind if we point them to
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook.
You want
I say
Instagram?
people, you'd be surprised. People hit me up on Instagram as well as Facebook. Hey, what do you think about this and so forth? So sure, if you want to check me out on Instagram, it's DOC _ tank DI
Tank.
Yeah.
DOC _ TINK.
Yo, what? You know what? We're gonna I have so many questions that we gotta talk offline.
Right.
We have to link up, man.
We gotta link up. It's been a while. We gotta connect. But definitely, thanks for coming out. Thanks for blessing up the real ones with the real information regarding this. 420 Rockstar. You guys want to leave them with anything? Just any kind of encouragement or anything at all?
Do your research, man. Do your research and
Yeah.
stop looking online. And while you're at it, if you do go online, don't forget, like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
All right. Tell your
And if
mom.
you're confused or
Tell
you
your
have any
mom.
questions, holler at Doc.
Yeah. Holler at the doc and then tell your mom to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah.
All you real ones that ask those dumb questions.
Yeah, like the other day, this guy was asking me, he's like, "Yo, PREZZ, how do I find your podcast?" I was like, "Bro, ask your girl."
Easy. It's like,
Simple
yo,
things.
he said, how do you find
Directly?
podcasts? Be like, yo, do you know use a cell phone?
Differently?
Yo,
Directly?
I'm trying to behave. Too much of me's coming out.
But yes.
Try to behave, let me behave myself.
They know who we
But
are.
It's just
But
because.
thank you guys.
Listen, no, let's share in for folks that are maybe the first time listeners. Obviously, the joke about it is like, although the podcast is a group of men, 60 to 70% of our listeners are women. So we are your girlfriend's favorite podcast, right? We're not the biggest right now, but
Because she heard.
But she heard.
You heard? Because she heard.
Why?
I think we even got people in India, no?
Yo,
Let's not start this.
We have that one guy.
Let's not start this.
We had that one guy out in India. We have to check to see if we still
Big
have
him
a
up
listener.
too.
Let's
Big
not
up.
start this.
Big up our listeners that are wherever you're listening. Right?
Tanzania, wherever
you
you're
catch it. Tanzania. Big up our people in New York, right? Big up our people in Brooklyn. We had some Brooklyn folks out there, right? You know,
Jamaica, Grenada,
Grenada.
Ghana. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? No,
City
directly is
Pulse.
worldwide.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. All right, Doc Tank, my boy
Doc Tank.
RokStar,
Peace.
420.
Yes,
It's
One
your
love.
boy Prez.
y'all.
Another episode directly pod, man. Bless up, guys. Respect.
All right. Peace out.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Peace out.